North London is red. Arsenal claim the bragging rights once again, winning the 199th North London derby 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 2 goals from Eberechi and 2 from Viktor Gyökeres got the job done for Mikel Arteta. The Gunners go back 5 points clear at the top of the table. Adam Hunt here in the studio with Troy Deeney and Nigel Reo-Coker to break it down. Great to see you guys. Troy, easy does it really for Arsenal. Did we expect anything else against Spurs?
There was hope, wasn't there? North London derby. You're expecting Spurs with a new manager and a week's rest to come out and show, a little bit more fight than they ultimately did. But Arsenal did a great job. I think we need to give Arsenal credit because a lot of this will be about how Spurs are poor. But Arsenal, give them credit, going after Man City. Could have felt the pressure. Could have easily slipped up after letting 2 goals back against Wolves. Good mental tick now. OK, we can handle the pressure in this type of environment. But I think still some of the same questions remain. And I personally think this was more poor Spurs than great Arsenal. But yeah, good result, got the job done, get that 5-point gap and then move on, Nudge. Yeah,
I would have to say for me, when I look at it with Arsenal, you don't have to be great. You just have to get the job done. The reality of it is they know Manchester City are chasing them, growing in confidence. Players are coming back from Manchester City. Manchester City had a great game against Newcastle yesterday. Arsenal knew going into this game, we have to win. Forget anything else about performance. They got the job done. That's the most important thing. It's a derby game as well, which anything could happen. You would have thought Tottenham would have had a new manager bounce, Igor Tudor in charge. And also with Tottenham's situation, they're not comfortable in the Premier League. They're potentially fighting a relegation battle. So you might think they're
in a relegation battle.
Element to the game, but that didn't happen. So I say give credit to Arsenal in the sense of they got the job done. It didn't have to be a great performance. It didn't have to be anything more than that. But get a win in a North London derby, and they did so.
We'll talk more about Spurs' troubles and relegation battle in just a minute, but it was Eberechi and Viktor Gyökeres. Brilliant performances from both of those, 2 goals each. And you can draw parallels really between the 2 players. They have at times this season been criticised. Eze hadn't actually scored since the last North London derby when he scored a hat-trick. Both of them made a statement today, didn't they, Troy? Yeah,
both did big goals. Obviously, it's really difficult because they're 2 different people, right? So Eze, I would say, hasn't had the most amount of game time that he's used to in terms of starts and that whole new pressure. When he was at Palace, this is very much give him the ball, let him make as many mistakes as you want. Don't matter, there's trust as belief. When you go to Arsenal, you need to deliver more. And just looking at this graphic here, again, 2 games against Spurs, he's got 5 goals with 6 shots on target. Look at the rest of the league for the rest of his performances, 21, 1 and 8. He will know that's not a fair representation because he's been in and out of the starting 11. But I think you have to look at it and say, for both of them, unfortunately, their goals have come against the minor teams in the league.
Minor? You said lesser teams, right?
Minor teams, 16th, a team that's in relegation battle. Again, Spurs will say that they're a big team and a big club, and we all know what Ange said, obviously, recently on the overlap. But I've been saying this for about 2 years now. What are Spurs? It's a genuine question. What are they? I know we'll get into that a little bit later about what they are. I ain't got a clue what they are. They're not ready for the fight. They're not good enough to outplay you in football. And in that situation, you're a little bit of nothing. And we'll take a deeper dive into that. But for Viktor Gyökeres, again, for anyone who doesn't know, my 16-year-old son is a massive Arsenal fan. Can't stand him. Really? On Wednesday, doesn't pick up the phone because they drew. Now he's phoned me 4 times today telling me how great Gyökeres is.
That's all Arsenal fans.
And my point to that is, no one ever said that Viktor Gyökeres wasn't a good striker. He is a good striker. Where his goals come, if you look over the course of his career, they normally come against teams in the bottom half of the table. My argument would always be, if Arsenal are going to win this league, it's not going to be because of Viktor Gyökeres' goals, because he's not going to outscore Haaland. He's not going to outscore Ekitike, Salah. You can go down the list. My argument was he wouldn't actually outscore João Pedro at the top of the season. When you look at it, he scored good goals today. You have to give him credit.
Yeah.
It's against a really bad Spurs team, and I don't want to give him a discredit. Do you get my point?
No, he's not great. Because your point is
you can only
very
beat
valid.
The team in front of you.
No, but his point is very valid. This is a makeshift back line that Tottenham he faced today. You would expect Gyökeres, with the price that they bought him for, to at least get a goal. This isn't Tottenham's starting back line or strongest back line. And I understand it's a North London derby. But again, just to go back to these 2 players, I think for me, for Eze, he hasn't had a great run of games, no problem. You're at Arsenal now. Like Troy said, you were the man at Crystal Palace. I'm not going to talk about his ability because I know he's got the ability. Yeah. What Eze needs to change is the mindset. These are the chances. When you get chances at Arsenal, you've got to take them with both hands. You have to be the man. It's not good to be good one every 3 games. No, this is Arsenal now. You've got to be good every game. He has the talent and ability. He needs to switch that mental mindset now to say that I'm going to show my talent. I'm going to dominate games every opportunity I get. That's the only thing he hasn't done. Gyökeres, for me, I agree with Troy. It's there. The stats are there. The facts are there that he generally scores against lesser teams, lower teams. Yes, it's a North London derby. It's Tottenham. They're not having a great time in the league right now. You look where they are in the league position. It's a makeshift back four today. It's not their strongest back four starting, and he gets the goals. But again, give credit, job done. They had to win to keep pressure on Manchester City and for them to still stay on top of the
Do you know what he does as well,
title.
Adam, as well? To his credit, he scores in bunches. Twos. So I remember...
Well, he did that in Portugal as well, didn't he? Went on that crazy run where he scored about 10 games in a row.
But again, if you look through those, again, I'm a bit of a stato. If you look through those, a lot of his goals are scored against teams that if you did them comparatively with leagues in our league, it'd be low prem, champ-style teams. So I don't want to sound like I'm killing the guy because he's not. He's decent. He's not the top level of striker that we're talking about. But again, Arsenal fans can come in the comments today and say I'm being a hater or whatever. I'd ask you to go back 2 weeks ago when you was all saying he was wearing Timberland boots. Just remember, after one game doesn't change everything that we've seen so far.
Listen, let's just, the reality of it as well is looking into this game, yes, we talk about a North London derby again, everyone would have said Arsenal win this game. That's a simple fact. Regardless of the new manager bounce and everything going on at Tottenham, you would say from a football perspective, watching it, both teams and what you've seen, Arsenal were heavily favoured to win this game. If Tottenham got anything, would have been fantastic for Tottenham. But Arsenal, for me, would have always been the team that won this game today, and they did so.
They won the game. They answered the critics. Your son, the Arsenal fan, and all the rest of them out there. How do you think they're feeling about the title race and what this does? Does this seal the deal?
Yeah, that was, again...
Whoa, seal the deal.
Again, the problem for Arsenal is, and this is something I've been consistent with, until they win a trophy, every game's going to be the same questions. That's unfortunately just the nature of the beast. They've got Chelsea at the weekend. Now, they would argue that they're in a good place. They'll feel good enough to beat Chelsea because Chelsea will come at them and try and play a certain type of way. Even if they beat Chelsea, the next game becomes important. The next game, until it gets done. And that's just unfortunately because of the past 3, 4, 5 years of what we've seen with Arsenal. That's not just me talking, that's Arsenal fans in which I know. So they do have to handle the pressure, and that pressure ramps up week after week, week after week.
The pressure never goes away.
And they've got some tests to come. The fixtures coming up are not easy at all.
And I agree with you, and I understand the question you're saying, but for me, I would say no, Adam, this is not a title-defying game. Yes, it's a North London derby, but for what Arsenal had to do and have to keep doing, it was a reaction that they needed to show after the poor result against Wolves, and they did that in a big rivalry game against Tottenham. But I wouldn't say that this defies them to go on to win the Premier League title, because if you look at Manchester City's performance, they're not easing up. And I think that the confidence should be with Arsenal, but like Troy says, every game is going to be a hard game, because if you spoke to Arsenal fans before the Wolves game, most people would have said, oh, Arsenal are going to win this easy because it's Wolves. And they didn't. They dropped points. So every game is going to be vital all the way until something is won.
And also, we've seen the fixtures there. They've got some difficult games coming up, no less than Chelsea coming up after this. But also, when you look at over the course of the season, there has been periods of this season where they've been further ahead in the title. There's also been times when they have been less ahead. So they do have a gap to Manchester City. Manchester City now have that game in hand. We've got the line sort of graph here, 61 points. The Gunners are on 56 for Manchester City. How do you think Mikel Arteta feels about the gap that he's got?
You know, I would say he's trying to focus one game at a time. He knows it. He knows that obviously every time in the media when they lose games or drop points that, you know, the terminology bottlers and bottle jobs comes into it. So he knows the pressure's on them already. I think for me, Pep Guardiola, when you look at the messaging from both managers, Pep Guardiola is telling his players, go out there and enjoy yourself. Don't worry about the pressure about the Premier League title. But the fans are growing and smelling and believing something special's coming. They're getting players back now. So I know Mikel Arteta knows he's under pressure. He has to keep his players focused. Because not only do they keep competing for a Premier League title, they've also got the Champions League where they can go and run deep in it. So he has to find the best way to really manage his players, to not let them get affected by the pressure, or also all the media and you know, the terminology that's used of Arsenal, whenever they drop points, they're bottlers, they're the bridesmaids, they're never the bride. He needs to keep that messaging out and keep them focused, and it has to be one game at a time.
Yeah, I think Mikel's done a good job of that. I think also as well, to put it into context, last 3 seasons, Liverpool have been in this position where they've been on for the quadruple. which is what Arsenal are on for now. And we saw how those seasons played out. It's very difficult to win, not only win the Premier League, but to win 2, 3 trophies. And I think because City have done it recently, everyone goes, oh, we should all get the treble.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's not, but actually, to win one trophy is very, very difficult. And they're in a position now where they're front runners for like 3 of the 4 already, I would say. One of the favourites for the FA Cup, if not that. Premier League, they are, and obviously they're in the final of Carabao. Champions League, we'll see how that plays out with the draw. But it's very, very difficult for them. The one thing just to that stat, in terms of the graphic going up, when you look at Man City, you're talking about feelings now. The feeling you get with Arsenal is they're nervous, there's a nervy edge to it, because clearly they haven't been in this position where everyone goes, you're the favourites with the best team to win it. When you look at Man City, the feeling is, uh-oh, here they come. They're on their way. We spoke about all season how, you know, me and Nigel have had arguments on here where you've said sometimes Pep Guardiola's messaging has become stale, maybe it needs to move on. I've said once a genius, always a genius. That's just my opinion. But they've never been at the level. Well, we've had to listen to this stat then. So when they lost to Aston Villa in September 14th, they've lost 5 games in 39 matches in all competitions. 5 games in 39 matches. And we're talking about this team is not to the level it was at.
And you said, here they come again, because they've done this before, haven't they? They've felt what it feels like to be at this moment in second and then go on and win the league. It wouldn't be the North London derby without controversy, though. We did have an incident, this Kolo Muani goal that wasn't. You've played as a striker.
Yeah.
You've got a bit handsy with defenders in the past. Should it be given or was it a foul?
I hate that. For this type of game, I hate that goal got ruled offside. Again, if you're an Arsenal fan, you'll say, oh, it was a clear push in the back. If you're a player that's played the game, once you get that little nudge, the fact that Gabriel has sold it and arched his back and his legs have gone, that's what's made the referee give it. It's the softest of touches.
He did touch him, though, Nige.
He touched him, but it's the theatrics. I'm with Troy. Yeah. I'm with Troy. I grew up in a different environment of playing the game where physicality was part of football and you loved it. For me, defensively, I would know if I'm a centre-back in that position, I would love to know where Kolo Muani is. Gabriel, for me, is a bit too far ahead anyway. You'd want to have contact with a striker. You'd be trying to feel him where he is. He sold it, but he sold it because of the modern game that we're in, with VAR, knowing it's going to go to review. There is push, but there's not enough to make Gabriel go down like that. I've seen Gabriel, met Gabriel. He's a big, solid lad. There's no way that is going to make him go dive like that.
Yeah, I mean, he went down like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, but it changes the dynamic of the game, because if Spurs get a second goal back, you saw what it did.
Well, that was 2-2 if he scored.
When they got the first one back, Arsenal go from, yes, we're good, these little huddles of, hey, calm down, become to, oh, whoa, it's happening again. And you don't know what emotionally that does to both the players, the fans, and then the bench. Do they do anything rash and change? So for me, I just think that was a big turning point in the game. But let's call it absolutely fair. Spurs had 2 real chances. One got chalked off, one they scored. Both from Arsenal mistakes. They weren't getting broken down. They wasn't in a position where, you know, Spurs played this wonderful, intricate football. You were like, oh, that's how they got in. It's from Arsenal being a little bit lax, turning the ball over, and Spurs hitting them on the counter-attack. And I didn't see anything, from Igor Tudor that made me say, OK, that's why we brought you in. It was just, it's more of a hope. And I think, bigger picture, this squad is not good enough. This Spurs squad is not good enough. I'm sorry, I know they've got 12, 13 injuries. It's not good enough to...
Well, let's talk about that then. Because, you know, you can say Igor Tudor, he's only working with what he's got. I think on Friday he said he only had 13 players at training because of all these injuries. And actually, when you look at the back line, that's where they've got the majority of these injuries. This is certainly not a first-choice defensive line. They've conceded 4 goals against Arsenal, and it's not likely to get much better between now and the end of the season. No,
I think when they hired Igor Tudor, what do you think his objective was? Survival in the Premier League. That's just the reality. You want to survive in the Premier League? Stop conceding silly goals. You make yourself hard to beat. Today, watching this Tottenham side, they did not look hard to beat. And I think even when you look at the goal that they conceded when Dragusin went to win, that's your centre-back there.
I was just about to say.
Half-hearted header. And there were times when we were looking at the fullback not getting in at times. I think for me, it's bonkers that Igor Tudor's gone in like that with that mindset. I know it's a North London derby. Doesn't have really history in English football to understand what's at stake, I would say, with Tottenham right now and going into a North London derby. For me, it's a hire that raised a lot of questions. And when I look at that performance today from Tottenham, if you're a Tottenham fan, I'll be very worried about getting relegated. Because I do not see a lot of positivities in that performance today where I could say, OK, they're taking a step forward. Because what you've got to worry about is West Ham are playing well now and looking like a team that could stay up there. Nottingham Forest have got another new manager bounce now where they're looking, they can fight to go up there. Leeds are still getting results. Crystal Palace are getting results.
Today, yeah.
And Wolves, as much as we'll probably say that they're gone down as well, they're looking good performance-wise where they might be able to nick a result or two. So for me, out of all that bottom pack there, Tottenham are the one team where I can say they do not look like a team that can get results or going to get results in
and the big point for me to all of those injuries, if I'm Tottenham Hotspur, apparently a big top 6 team, if I start someone called Dragerson, centre-back, forget about it. There's got to be someone better in the kids. I'm sorry, we've seen him over the course of time. He's been injured as well, so you give him credit for that. He has been injured. But if you have to start a North London derby with Dragerson and Paulinho in your back line, Paulinho is a holding midfielder. Granted, he's doing the job for the team.
Surely any team. I mean, look at those names there. Madison, Kulusevski, Kudus, Bediker, Porro was out as well. He had a red card for Romero.
The reason you can't use that as an excuse, we had this last year. So where's your recruitment that knows if we lose 4, 5, 6 players, because we have a history of doing that, are we ready to go there? I'll go one step further. Is you telling me their academy can't produce any players? Like, why are we in a situation that
I guess what I'm saying is that any team would struggle if you took that many. I mean, look at your Watford team. Remember that season when you were doing really well and beating those big teams? If you'd taken 6 of your best players out of the 11,
100%.
how would you go on?
But the next season, do you know what our owner would have done? Bought 12 players, not 3, and went, oh, we'll be OK. Because what Spurs have done, they keep toying with this idea of trying to be a big team and then never going really big in the market, go and spend, I don't know, 400-500 million pounds in building their squad. It's a place for me where players go to be comfortable. And they're not going to like this, and some of them will probably mess with me. It's a place you go to be comfortable. If you want to go and win something, you're a player now, you're 20, 24 years old, in your pomp, Nige, and you go, right, the Spurs on the table, you're guaranteed to start, or you go Chelsea. Where are you going?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Go Chelsea. All right, if not that, Spurs and you're Man United. Liverpool. You go, if you want to win, you go to all these other teams. If you go to Spurs now, unfortunately, they fall into the bracket of where a Fulham and Everton, you're in that bracket now of solid Premier League teams that you keep flirting with the idea of trying to be a top team. The other teams have an excuse. They don't have the financial clout that you do.
I think
you're now in a relegation battle.
Actions speak louder than words. And let's just say Tottenham have missed out a lot on the action to really be in a big side. And we saw the graphic of all the injuries that they had. You can make a case for so many other teams throughout this season as well. Injuries is part of football.
No, Janet, last year.
I hate when I hear about so many injuries. It's part of football. We grew up as players being in that environment. We knew if we ever wanted to go into management or coaching, this is what you have to deal with. You have to find a way to work with the other players that you have available and get results, because that is your job in the bottom line of it as a manager, results business. Manchester City have had injuries. Liverpool have had injuries. All these clubs around Tottenham have had injuries where you can make a case for them as well.
You've used the R word a couple of times, relegation battle. We've done a little poll on YouTube. Are Spurs going to get relegated this season? 56. I don't know how many of these are Arsenal fans.
I'll tell you this now. My biggest worry for Tottenham is, before they even find themselves in this situation, is most real Tottenham fans and honest fans would say lack of leadership for players on the pitch. And when one of your so-called leaders, your captain, and he is outspoken and really let himself down from a leadership perspective, the biggest thing you need when you get in a relegation battle, which I've had to experience in my career, is you need leaders and characters. Tottenham do not have enough leaders and characters right now if they're really sucked into a relegation battle.
And the characters they have got are injured.
That's why I'm more worried for Tottenham as well. When you look at the fixtures, Fulham, not an easy game. Crystal Palace as well.
Palace Liverpool, are down there, so that's
Forest,
a 6-pointer. So
they've got
Forest.
6-pointers coming up already there, really. 3 6-pointer games, in my opinion.
Either side, by the way, of the Champions League games.
Yeah.
So which one do you prioritise? Do you try and go deep in the Champions League, or do you try to stay in the Premier League? That's where the problem's going to come. Again, just to the point of relegation, you need an identity as a team in general. But in a relegation fight, you need to know who you are. I've been in a few and unfortunately lost one where I got relegated, where the one we got relegated was with our best team, the best players. When you look at the squad sheet, you go, how the hell did they go? Yeah. Because half the team wanted to play, half the team wanted to fight. And that's what I look at Spurs. I look around and go, well, who's the ones who want to fight? Who's the ones who go, right, today, no matter what, even if it's 0-0 the whole game, person across from me, I'm going to run all over him, he's going to get it. Who does that now? And then on the football side of it, who's the ones that, who are the guys, if you take all price tags out of it, you said to every single one of these is free now, who in the top 5 takes any of their players?
The other thing is, really, in the relegation fight, you need dogs of war.
Yep.
Dogs
I'm not
of
seeing
war
many
is
dogs
what
of
we
war
need.
on that
Well,
pitch.
that's the problem, and that's why I would be worried if I'm Tottenham right now.
Think to this, right, from our strikers, because you need goals, right? In a relegation, you want to score more there, obviously, break it down, simplify. Score more there, less in there. Our strikers, when we got relegated, me, Andre Gray, João Pedro, Danny Welbeck, get relegated, us four. Our wide men, Gerard Deulofeu, Ismail Assar. Internationals, we get relegated because you need to have that real, OK, are they going to score or are we going to keep it out? And at the moment, Spurs don't have that.
We thought the Arsenal fans had all left the chat, but there's one still left there. They've got a comment for you, Troy.
Yeah.
Cooper the Beast says Troy must have a bet on City to win.
No.
No.
I don't care. I generally don't care.
Not guilty.
No. Don't care at all.
Don't
Good
worry,
stuff, guys.
Cooper,
We could
it's all
continue
right.
this conversation for a good another half an hour, but we've got to go. We will be able to watch Arsenal, of course, in action in the Carabao Cup final Sunday, March the 22nd on Paramount Plus. You two are both going over there, aren't you?
It'll be great.
I'm reliably informed there wasn't any tickets left on the plane, sadly for me, so I'm staying here.
Hey, don't worry, I had the
watching it
same
on,
in Italy, mate. You get
on
used to it.
scoreline. I know. Holding the fort back in Stamford. Thanks for watching. We'll see you very soon on Golazo Network.
You got snowed in, mate.